There was a time when the world did not have electricity. Cities were lit by flickering torches, rivers moved slowly like old thoughts, and the sky was a mystery to look at, not to challenge. In such a distant time, a man was born who decided to look further. A man who was never happy with what he saw. He planned for humans to fly when no one dared to imagine it. He dreamed of machines, when iron was still just a tool. He wanted to understand everything: water, the human body, the wind, life. His name was Leonardo da Vinci, but the word genius is not enough to describe him. He had a mind that could reach across centuries, seeing the future in a world that did not yet know it. An artist, an inventor, a scientist, a thinker, but above all, a man who never stopped wondering. Leonardo was born in 1452 in the hills of Vinci in Tuscany, a small village surrounded by green fields. He was the son of a notary and a peasant woman, but his parents were not married. He grew up far from the fancy rooms of rich people, and maybe it was that freedom, that feeling of not belonging, that made him reach for the sky. As a child, he watched everything: how birds flew, how water swirled, how shadows moved on walls at sunset. He drew everything with the patience of someone who knows that learning is not a race but a discovery. For Leonardo, understanding the world was an act of love. He studied not to control nature, but to talk with it. When he arrived in Florence, the city was a center of art and learning. The artist's workshop smelled of oil and brilliant ideas. There, among paintings and tools, Leonardo began to learn not only how to paint, but how to think in big ways. He understood that every brushstroke could hide an idea, every drawing could become a machine. And from that moment, his life became a race against time. Because Leonardo was not looking for fame, he was looking for truth. And to find it, he would have to look where no one had ever looked before. Leonardo never stopped. His every thought was a beginning, never an end. And his notebooks, full of drawings and writing that went backward, he left thousands of ideas, hunches, and questions. He wrote not to be understood by others, but to keep understanding himself. He used mirror writing, which can only be read in a mirror, as if his words also needed to be reflected before they showed the truth. He watched the world with the carefulness of an engineer, the feeling of a poet. When he watched a bird flying, he saw more than just feathers and the sky. He saw the math hidden in its movements, the invisible force that kept everything in balance. He wanted to break nature's secret code, and from that obsession came dreams that the world would only understand hundreds of years later. He designed machines that seemed to come from another time, between the yellowed pages of his notebooks. Ideas took shape that no one in the 1400s could have understood. There was a machine he called an aerial screw, a huge linen propeller twisted on itself, made to rise into the air. It was, in every way, the great-grandparent of the modern helicopter. Leonardo thought that the air was an invisible sea, that a spiral, if spun fast enough, could float on it. An impossible idea for his time, but incredibly close to the truth. He then designed a tank, a dome made of wood and metal, with cannons placed all around it, powered by gears inside. It seemed to have come from a dream of iron, a mechanical monster that predicted modern war by 400 years for him. It was not a weapon to destroy, but a test of cleverness, an exercise in understanding how humans can make themselves stronger. And again, machines to fly like birds. Leonardo studied how wings flap for years, drawing very detailed models with levers and rods. He imagined himself hanging in the clouds, pushed only by the wind, the dream of freedom. He wrote, "Once you have known flight, you will walk looking at the sky. Because you have been there, will want to return." It was more than a plan. It was a wish from his soul. He also invented a vehicle that moved on its own, pushed by springs and gears. A drawing that many people today recognize as the first idea of a car. No engine, no gas, just pure mechanics, imagination, and perfect logic. And then, machines to lift water, bridges that could be moved to cross rivers, diving suits made of leather and glass, with valves to breathe underwater, the very first start of the human submarine. Leonardo understood that the mind could go anywhere, even to places the body could not yet reach. Every invention was a step toward the impossible. He drew not only to build, but to understand how nature itself created things. He looked at a seed, a feather, a wave, and from it he found a rule that worked everywhere. Through lines and notes, Leonardo imagined people being able to overcome their own limits. Yet, many of those projects were never built, not because they were wrong, but because they were too far ahead, too modern for a world that was still stuck in the Middle Ages. But his greatness was not only in his inventions, it was in his way of seeing. Leonardo saw what others did not. When he painted a face, he looked for the soul behind the eyes. When he studied the human body, he saw not only bones and muscles, but the perfection hidden inside every living thing. His study of the body, done by cutting into bodies in secret, was a quiet revolution. He drew veins, organs, tendons, with the skill of a doctor and the beauty of an artist. He wanted to understand the mystery of life, as if every line could show its true nature. And then there were his works. The Mona Lisa, with that smile caught between mystery and truth. The Last Supper, which shows the moment when the human spirit breaks between faith and betrayal. In every painting, in every drawing, Leonardo looked for something no one could see, the connection between what is seen and what is unseen. In Milan, working for Ludovico il Moro, he built war machines and studied musical instruments. He could go from designing a cannon to writing a song for the lute on the same day. It was as if his brain was a whirlwind of ideas that never rested. Yet, behind that genius, there was also deep loneliness. Leonardo was surrounded by people who admired him, but few truly understood him. He wrote, "I have offended God and humanity because my work has not reached the quality it should have." Words that make you shiver, because even the greatest genius sometimes feels unfinished. In the last years of his life, Leonardo moved to France, to the court of King Francis I. He was an old man now, but his mind had no age. He walked slowly in the gardens of the Château d'Amboise, watching birds fly just as he had as a child. He had lived through a whole century of discoveries and dreams, but the same fire still burned inside him to understand the reason for everything. He still drew. He wrote down notes about how water moves, about flight, about light, as if he wanted to catch the last secret of the world before he left. He no longer looked for fame, but for the calm of knowing. And maybe, in those quiet days, he had truly understood what it means to be a genius, to no longer know where curiosity ends and life begins. Leonardo died in 1519, in the arms of the king who considered him a friend. He was 67 years old. He left behind an enormous gift, thousands of drawings, studies, artworks, and ideas that still speak to us today. But above all, he left a question: what would we be able to do if we looked at the world through his eyes? Because Leonardo was not just a painter or an inventor. He was a bridge between what we were and what we can still become. A man who dreamed of flying when the sky seemed impossible to reach. Who looked for perfection knowing he would never find it, but who kept chasing it anyway. Today we live in the future he imagined. We fly, we build, we explore. Yet we often miss his curiosity and his wonder. Leonardo teaches us that true greatness is not knowing everything, but never stopping asking questions. Every time we look at the sky and dream of going beyond it, every time we draw something new, every time we try to understand the mystery of what surrounds us, that dream lives on. Not in his paintings, not in his notebooks, but inside us. Because as long as there are men and women who can dream, Leonardo da Vinci will never truly be dead. If you want to keep going on journeys through amazing stories and dreams, subscribe to the channel.